Hello, YouTube. Got a short segment for you tonight. Two questions, two comments, whichever, one comment, one question. The first is to share my UFO story, and then the second is to ask a question about some UFO info I heard a long time ago and have been, I say feverishly, but searching the internet and YouTube and such to see if I could find any remnants of that story, and I can't, which I found terribly strange, especially since the way that the story itself ended, and you'll hear about that in a moment. Not strange, actually, just telling. But my UFO story, when I was out of the Army and into the National Guard, I was on a flight unit as a flight medic, and we were getting airtime, which every quarter you have to log so many hours to get your hazard pay. And we were flying UH-1 helicopter that we used for medevacs. A bunch of us stuffed in the back. We weren't actually performing missions. We were just flying for airtime. And we were flying near Columbia, South Carolina. And 4 or 5 of us in the back, and we're having a conversation. One guy's not responding to us, so we call out to him, "Hey, I'm not sure I should use that right, so-and-so, what do you think?" He doesn't respond. "Hey, what do you think?" "Hey, yo, huh? What's going on? You hear that? Hey, man, did y'all see that UFO?" We all look like, no, did you see a UFO? He's like, it was just right there. And as soon as he finished saying that, the control tower out of Columbia called the helicopter, or called out, said, "Columbia Tower, guard 227. And I remember what aircraft we were on. There were 20 or 30 aircraft in the group there, but I remember exactly which I was on. Pilot radios back, says, "Guard 227, go ahead." And he said, "Can you advise, are you a flight of 2 aircraft?" So something made the air traffic controller see something on radar that made him call and ask if there were 2 of us up there, right after somebody reported seeing a UFO. Didn't see it myself. We all thought that was pretty strange. About that time, everybody's looking outside the helicopter. But that's my closest encounter. Of course, we've all seen lights in the sky. Now for the real question. Used to do a lot of traveling back in 1999 and 2000, and somewhere towards the end of 99 or the first of 2000, I was listening to Coast AM. I believe it was Art Bell at the time. Gentleman calls into a show, says, "I found a Doppler signal in space." He said, "I have an amateur radio astronomer. I have my own little radio telescope, and I'm tuning around, and I pick up on something, fine-tune it in, and it's a signal, and it's constant, and it's a Doppler signal." And he said, "I've been working on it for hours, Art, and I'm here to tell you I ruled out everything else. It's not a satellite. I can tell by how strong the signal's getting, the distance between each Doppler shift and all that. This object is coming from beyond our solar system. It's traveling towards us." He said, "If I had enough time, I can work out how fast it's traveling towards us." Obviously, this piqued Art Bell's interest. He actually called a friend of his who, I can't remember if it's Cambridge or Harvard, or one of the big schools that has a astrophysics or astronomy program, and said, "Hey, I got this guy," and the guy gave his coordinates and the declination and all that stuff so that somebody else could figure out from their GPS coordinates where this was coming from. He says, "Guy says he's found this, take a look." So the next night I'm on the road still. In my travels I always tune in. And so I tune in, and the guy calls back in. And his buddy from either Cambridge or where it was called in, said, "I found it too." 3 or 4 other people called in, said, "I found the same signal. This is exactly where he said it was. It's exactly what he said it was." It was like amazing. So, I mean, there was a good conversation about it. "Yeah, I got it. We can see the Doppler shift. We can see it's a Doppler signal, which is exactly what you need to navigate space. This is everything we dreamed of." So all that went on that night. The next night I wasn't even traveling, but I tuned in Art Bell from the house because I wanted to hear it. And Art calls the guy back. He had his phone number. He got the call screener to get his number and all the information. Calls him up, says, "That's Art Bell. Let's talk about your findings." And the guy says, "I can't." Click. Calls his buddy over at the school and says, "Hey, guy said NSA said I can't talk about this." Click. Couldn't get anybody to answer his phone calls after that. Can't search it on the internet. Can't find anything. No recording of the call. Nothing on their website. I've searched the Coast to Coast Live before. So I'm just posing out there. Is there anybody who remembers hearing those call-ins? It was 2 nights of talking about it and the 3rd night of clicks and hang-ups. I know somebody else there heard it, and maybe somebody else knows where some of the actual audio copy is for that, because I think finding an actual Doppler signal in space that's verified by 3 or 4 people was probably one of the biggest proofs of something out there. Whether, and I'm going to float this, we put it there, and it was traveling, faster than anything we had at the time, but doesn't mean that we didn't put it out there, or it was something else, but it was definitely hushed. I clearly heard 2 nights of conversations on it, and the 3rd night, nobody would talk to them. So respond, please, if you heard or know anything.